Welcome everybody to the WBC Podcast. We're going around the table. We got expert opinions combined with expert entertainment and definitely some interesting conversations. So welcome to the family. Appreciate y'all being here.
But I was going to say one thing about Jay Frank was that especially when Frank was younger, like in middle school, Frank, like he had an amazing, like not hop bounce to him, but like just a spring to like how he moves and his steps and stuff. And like you didn't even really realize it, but like his passing ability and stuff like that, like he used to throw dimes, man.
He was a point guard our freshman year.
Yeah, he was a point guard, man, the whole time. So when I think about Frank, he kind of like when we got like the high school, turned into more of a scoring machine
later on, right.
But when he was young, man, he used to drop dimes, man.
And I remember when
he
y'all
still
were
threw dimes to me the whole time, but it's kind of like the same thing, like where his offense started to like overshadow some of like his the playmaking, but playmaking ability was always there, man. He was a amazing basketball.
Talk about this. What position did Jay Frank play as a sophomore?
The four.
Power forward.
Exactly. He had a whole the game. Ricky Briggs was balling that year, but Jay Frank played the four and was balling. Like his game was different than what it ended up evolving into.
Right, yeah.
I hear totally what you're saying. And he played point guard as a freshman. I was on that team.
Yeah, he played point guard as a freshman. Well, him and Gary Burns.
Gary switched later. They switched later.
Yeah, towards the end of the freshman season.
They
shared the
responsibilities that year because
the difference was that between
against him.
Jay Frank wasn't nice about it when he was playing. He was mean. Pop crash to you, push on you.
He wasn't as nice.
Like, Man Love was nice a little bit. Man Love had a little bit.
Man Love would give you 30. Wasn't really saying a whole lot. Yell when he dunked.
Man Love might whisper in your ear something.
Yeah, they would have a lot more nasty.
Jay Frank would talk to you the whole game. Jay Frank go dunk on you.
And I will say this. Jay Frank probably had one of the most, his junior year, man, was electric. Man, that dude put on a show. I remember us having maybe like a 3 or 4 game streak. Cleveland was on there. Franklin was definitely on there. Where this brother probably went for like 35 plus.
Yeah, beans. He dropped like 30
full game straight.
Oh no,
it was reverse dunks. He probably dunked the ball in these games about 4-5 times. Major deep threes where it was just like, man, it don't matter about no play you're calling and none of that. It was just when he caught it, it was like in your job, man.
Right.
Put in work. That was his DNA. That was his DNA to put in work like that.
It's kind of like when people talk about
he reminds me of Carmelo a little bit. Just their mentality of the way they want to score.
Hey, so my sophomore year, I was still at Jesuit, and the two dudes that came into Jesuit and put on the greatest shows I've ever seen in my life was Jason Franklin.
I remember that. I was at that game.
And y'all don't understand what Matt Santangelo did at Jesuit. I mean, this dude was flying through the air, reverse dunking. I mean, it was amazing.
It was.
And that was my boy. I was impressed, and that was my partner. I was like, oh my God. What is he doing out here,
boy?
Yeah, man, it was crazy.
When them lights came on, man, he was out there. I used to be
ask y'all this.
Dang.
Let me ask y'all this. How do you think Tyrone and Dennis would have compared as pro prospects?
You said Tyrone and Dennis did what?
How would they compare as pro prospects, as NBA prospects?
Oh, man.
I think Dennis...
They both had what it takes to go pro.
Yeah, both had that.
Sure. I think without the off the court, they would have been there.
In terms of the pro stuff, man, people's games Dennis' game wouldn't have to change.
Right.
The other dudes' games, like Tyrone's game would have had to change a little bit. Shea Cotton's game would have to change.
Yep.
That's the reason why Ime made it and certain dudes didn't, because there's certain things that you used to doing that you wouldn't have been able to, that you wouldn't have been able to do. So like ball handling for Love at an NBA level might have been a little thing. You know what I'm saying? And then
he may fit into that 3-and-D mode.
If you 6'3", 6'4" in the NBA back then, you was Terry Porter 6'4". You know what I'm saying? You got your point guard. Mm-hmm. And so stuff would have changed. Dennis could have came in at 6'5", ran a point easy.
Right.
At an NBA level. You know what I'm saying? That's what he did.
Change what he did.
Yeah.
And you ever hear two people tell the best stories about Dennis Nathan? One is Pickle Lewis, Craig Lewis's dad, got some amazing Dennis Nathan stories. And one of the funniest ones, though, is Billy Moore, Mr. Moore, telling some Dennis Nathan stories. And all of them end with him hanging on that rim, like just throwing the ball off the. I mean, you know, you talking about the stuff that T-Mac and Vince Carter and I mean Ben Simmons. You know, you can name on two hands how many people you done seen do it in your lifetime in a game.
Jones did a little bit.
Throw the ball, Kobe.
Kobe
Bryant in the All-Star game, I think it was. But to do it in a real game, man, where you know, playing basketball and then as one of your moves, you throw the ball off the backboard and catch that mug and you two-hand reverse. I mean, that stuff is amazing, man. Especially when you talk about dudes doing it in high school as like sophomores and like juniors. Like,
hey man, yeah.
And Dennis made a hell of a jump from because he was at Cleveland with us. His freshman year, he played varsity and balled on varsity, but he wasn't that dude yet. And then sophomore year came.
But he was cold though, always though.
He was
Dennis
good.
Nathan was cold. I remember him when he was in middle school as a little kid.
Had skill.
He had game. Like
always had skill. I'm saying he played varsity as a freshman.
How many that body?
Like he played varsity as a freshman. And he put in some work.
He was cold, man.
But he wasn't athletic. Like he was barely jumping over a piece of paper.
He wasn't as tall, but he was though, Mac.
He was about
6'2".
I'm trying to tell you, man. I'm trying to tell you, Earl. Listen, from his freshman to his sophomore year, he made such a jump. Like his athletic ability jumped, his height, he jumped from like 6 foot to about 6'4", but he was such a monster athlete at that point, and he had the guard game and the skill and being able to shoot and everything. Beans, you remember we had that horse dunk contest, and now I was a junior when he was a freshman. Now we're seniors, he's a sophomore, and I was already dunking and doing athletic stuff, and I was like, on the team, probably most athletic. Then Dennis came in, like, man, I could do whatever you could do. I'm like, man, no, you can't, man. We started playing horse. Man, we played for like 15, 20 minutes or something, just doing dunks. He doing it right back after me, but was like super athletic after that. And then from his sophomore to junior year, he went to Gresham and just exploded.
Hey, man, hey. So we played Gresham. I don't know what, we played him at Gresham. And so Central, we came in here, I think I gave Gresham like 35, and I'm talking to Dennis, you know, that's my little partner. I'm talking trash to him. Man, they came in, this is the first time I ever seen the white patent leather Jordans. And so Dennis came to Central, had them on, and man, he gave us 42. Damn. Had about 4 dunks, but it was so cold. And I mean, I ain't never heard nobody's ever talked to me like that in the game before. Hey, I never been talked to like that before in the game. It was straight payback, man. He came in there and put on the show.
But look at D-Son, what he's talking about, man, because we had a different experience. Well, not say different, but just we was 2 years older than him. So when he came there, it was like we was like mentoring,
showing him the ropes a little bit.
Yeah. Right. He was learning stuff, but it was like that when he came back that next year, Man, it was like the wild horse bust through the stable because he was telling Daniel, whatever dunk you can do, I can do. And Daniel did a dunk, and then he'd go, boom, what I tell you. Whatever you can do, I can do. And I told you I can do anything you can do.
It wasn't no easy dunks. Like, it wasn't just no.
You did one where you did a bow. You did one where you tapped the neck twice. He did he was like, and did it emphatically like, I can do what you can do. What? You're not the big dog no more. He was like,
it was. Let it be known.
He got big, man. he got big.
He was a legit 6'5"
skills. I remember hearing a story where he was at Indiana playing. I wasn't there, obviously, but
I think this is a team with him and Craig Lewis and them.
Nah. In the pros when Freddie
with Freddie.
Yeah, Freddie was in Indiana. I remember hearing the story where he was at a practice or open gym scrimmage, whatever it was, and he was balling. And then Larry Bird at the time was coaching him, and he was like asking him about what his situation was. But Dennis had life off the court that always played a part. Mm-hmm. And then it didn't work out. But in terms of being a pro prospect, I think Tyrone and Dennis both would have been more of a pro impact type player than Freddie Jones or Ime. But the off-court stuff that Ime had obviously carried him, I think, even farther than Freddie. Because Freddie had some hype behind him, and then he went to Oregon, did what he did, and then had a solid NBA career. But Tyrone and Dennis, compared to Ime and Freddie, like, who would y'all take?
Yeah, just the talent and the stuff that they were doing back then.
Because Freddie was two-time Gatorade Player of the Year in Oregon.
Right.
And I think the only other one, our group was Tyrone. Tyrone was two-time Gatorade Player of the Year.
Freddie was amazing.
Yeah, Freddie was.
Freddie's three-time Oregon Player of the Year.
Freddie was
right. Three-time Oregon Player of the Year, right?
Freddie Jones was.
Didn't he get Pac-10 Player of the Year his senior year or something like that?
Junior year.
Freddie Jones was cold, man.
At Oregon?
Junior year.
And I think the difference between how cold he was, because some of his greatness, because in high school he was cold, but I think that playing with my man Jared Price, who was a nice point guard, and then when he went to college, when my man Luke Rittenauer came to town, man, it just opened up Freddie's game.
Now that's about to be what I'm about to speak on, Earl, because I'm about to say this. Your boy Freddie is like a 5-star athlete, no doubt about it.
Right.
Basketball player, low IQ. That's why when a dude like Rittenauer, who know how to fucking play, got IQ, can set the table, make it easy, makes him look like a draft pick.
Yeah.
You can't put Freddie on your team and say you about to win some shit. You know y'all gonna have some highlights though.
In high school, you could.
Yeah, it depends on what years you're talking about. Because everybody, when you go up the higher levels, then like whatever you do well and the things that you struggle with just get magnified, you know.
Listen up.